What does manhood mean to you?
When I look at the definition of a man, when I was growing up, I always thought being a man meant you couldn't be emotional, you couldn't be vulnerable, you couldn't express your feelings because that's what I saw my own father. He wasn't one that cried or did anything like that. So as I've gotten older, that definition evolved. Being a father, being a husband, and having to combat my own trauma in order to redefine what manhood means to me, especially now that I have two sons of my own that I'm trying to raise with my wife. You have to check yourself and recognize that with manhood, it means that you can express yourself while also showing strength within that.
Hi, and welcome to another edition of King Crush Thursday, the series where we highlight and uplift Black men because, frankly, not too many people are doing it. My name is Val Gay, and I'm super excited to bring this brother to you today. Let's see, he is an award-winning former middle school math teacher turned global education consultant. He has also is an author. He's done a lot of things, and he's educating our babies. And please meet him, Mr. Kwame Sarfo-Mensah. Hi, Kwame.
How you doing, Ms. Val?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Not bad, not bad.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. I'm glad you are here. Your presence and your answers will be added to our repository of 6 questions that we are using as a wedge to keep open or to widen the narrow window and very myopic window that Black men are seen through, particularly in the media. And as we
Yeah.
know, Black men are myriad, and many more than what we see in the media are doing the right thing. They're taking care of their families. They're holding down their communities. They are giving back to their communities. And we want young kings who may or may not have positive Black male role models to have an alternative narrative for them to come to this repository, see the same 6 questions answered by hundreds of Black men, and hopefully find guidance there. And then for the rest of us who are neither Black or even male, to be able to see and have our minds actually opened also. And so I'm so glad that you're here. And I want to get started with the first question, which is, what does manhood mean to you?
I think for me, manhood for me means having the ability to not only just show up for your family, but also to show up for your loved ones and those that you care about. And when I look at the definition of a man, when I was growing up, I always thought being a man meant you couldn't be emotional, you couldn't be vulnerable, you couldn't express your feelings because that's what I saw my own father. He wasn't one that cried or did anything like that. So as I've gotten older, that definition evolved. Being a father, being a husband, and having to combat my own trauma in order to redefine what manhood means to me, especially now that I have two sons of my own that I'm trying to raise with my wife. You have to check yourself and recognize that with manhood, it means that you can express yourself while also showing strength within that. And when we look at strength, it's not always in the physical sense. Like I could lift weights or, you know, I can go through certain situations that are adverse. Sometimes it just means that you're acknowledging that this is a time where you just don't have it. This is a time where you don't have the answer, or you're just not strong enough and you need help. That's strength. That's courage. And I believe that those are traits that encompass manhood.
Mm. Wow, thank you. Thank you so much. So, Kwame, who and or what is important to you?
Who's important to me? That's easy, my family. My wife, my kids, my immediate family, those who are in my inner circle, they're important to me. What's important to me? Empathy, respect, compassion. Those are traits that are very important to me because it lets me know that you're accounting for not just what you see in front of you, but you're accounting for certain factors and experiences that you may not be able to relate to based on your own upbringing or based on how you may have been raised. So I believe that those are traits that I find very valuable in any human being.
Got it. Got it. Awesome. Thank you. Well, speaking of finding things valuable, how do you want us to see you?
I want people to see me as somebody who puts the conscious effort in to get to know the whole person. Um, I'm not someone who is quick to judge people based on how they appear. I like to take the time to get to know the whole story of who they are, even the parts that aren't as transparent to our eyes. I want to be able to really dig in. So I want to be someone who people look at as thoughtful, um, empathetic, but as well as optimistic, like someone who takes the time to try to see the good in each and every person, even when they're not at their best.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you so much. So, question four, Kwame, is what is your epic dream?
Wow. Epic dream. I think my epic dream is to make sure that not only I'm able to find happiness in the simple things in life, but to ensure that my family is straight, you know, that we're financially stable, that everybody's able to pursue their dreams, and that everybody is able to find the happiness regardless of what path that they take. So, I mean, that's the dream for me. Nothing too extravagant. It's really that simple.
Good. Wow. That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you. So, you've been answering question five all along implicitly, but I'm going to ask you explicitly.
Okay.
Mr. Kwame Sarfo-Mensah, who are you?
Who am I? You know what? That's something that's evolved over time. I think for the longest time, I only view myself as the educator because you always lead with the profession, and that's how many people see you. But since leaving the classroom in 2019 and then eventually moving abroad with my family, uh, I've had time to be away from the classroom and discover the other parts of my identity. So, really leaning into my father identity, leaning into the fact that I am a son to a woman, that I am a husband to a woman, and the fact that I have these other parts of me that I've left in the dust for some time, and I'm taking time to reconnect to those parts and rediscover who I am. So I would say I'm a father, I'm a husband, I'm a karaoke fanatic. I love to sing. I know that's right up your alley. So, I try to carry a tune as best I can. And I'm just somebody who really just appreciates the humanness in people.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful. Awesome. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much. So here we are already at question 6, which is there anything that I should have asked you that I didn't, or you wanted me to ask you that I didn't? In other words, what did I miss?
This is a good question. I don't think I've ever been asked this question before. Um, question that hits. You've asked so many great questions. If there's one question that you could ask, I would say, I guess what it was like to have to transition from, working 40 hours a week as a middle school teacher to being a trailing spouse um, on this foreign service journey. So that's something that I've had to answer for myself. So, and I would say it's been a journey. It's been a journey. I mean, because I think for so many adults, particularly in the States, we spend so much time focused on work because work takes up so much of our time. And work is the one thing that provides a livelihood for ourselves, but also provides for our family. So when the one thing that you've been most associated with is taken away from you, or you're not doing it anymore, now you have to figure out how to make the best use of your time. So that goes back to the previous question where you asked about who I am. I had to go through that self-discovery to figure out, hey, these are some things that I'm pretty good at. I need to tap into those modalities and competencies so that I can, bring more value to the world. But that's something that I've had to go through, and then of course combating my own trauma because I grew up in a household where both my parents, they came from Ghana, West Africa. So I'm a first generation Ghanaian American. And just like a lot of typical African homes, you saw my parents in their traditional roles, traditional gender roles. So my mom, she was the one taking care of a lot of domestic duties, clean up the house, cooking. I mean, she had a job herself where she worked the graveyard shift for Bank of America. Well, at the time, it was called, I think, Fleet Bank. So we're talking 80s, and then it's going through the transitions. But then my dad, he was able to pursue his MBA. He was able to get his dream job at Aetna, being an actuary, and he was able to go back to Ghana to start his own business. So I saw him be able to pursue his dreams while my mother didn't get the opportunity to do just that. So when I saw that as a kid and then thinking about it as an adult, I knew that that was something that I didn't want to replicate whenever I had my own marriage or partnership. So it's not to say that we've eradicated all the patriarchal ideals. There's still some things that are inherent that we're trying to break, but I would say for the most part, it's something that I'm always conscious of, and I'm actively working to find different ways to um to break those ideals and to create a different way of living in the marriage. So that's something that I still work on every single day with my wife. And I think as a man, not being able to financially provide, that hits your ego in a way that many people just wouldn't understand. And you have to challenge yourself to think of different ways to be a provider and a contributor to your family unit. It's kind of like in basketball. If you're classified as a scorer and your jump shot's not going in, you got to figure out different ways to help the team. Sometimes you got to rebound the ball. Sometimes you got to get other teammates involved so they can make open shots. Sometimes it might just be taking a charge. There's different ways to contribute if your shot's not going. So I had to apply that same mindset to, being a family man. All right, I don't have the closest six-figure job that I used to, but that doesn't mean that I can't provide. And it's something that you have to continue to reiterate to yourself because, listen, I think just a couple of days ago, I was like, man, I don't know. Like, I just don't feel like I'm doing enough. Like, I feel like I'm letting I'm letting my family down. I'm letting my wife down because I'm not able to secure a stable job. Everything is kind of sporadic when you're consulting like I am. So just having to continue to reiterate the fact that, hey, like you're doing the best you can, you're doing okay, and what you're doing is of value, even if it's not in the view that many people would define it when we talk about manhood. So that's one thing. And then also kind of recognizing that there was some unresolved trauma that I had to deal with. So taking the emotional intelligence classes with my wife and finally going to Ghana to see my father and having a 3-hour conversation on all the things that I probably should have told him 20 plus years ago, but was too scared to because I didn't feel like it was something that he would value or even take the time to listen to. So those were just some of the things that I had to get past in order to get to a place where I could have closure and move forward with my own family because I saw how much of an impact it was having in my parenting, how much of an impact it was having in my relationship with my wife and also others. So getting past that point was pivotal. And there's still work that I have to do, but I would say that it's been an up and down journey. And for any men who end up moving abroad in support of, their wives or their partners, you have to be prepared to take on a different role that you may not be used to taking on. And there's a psychological challenge that comes with that. But if you take the time to reflect, if you take the time to embrace the good parts about the different roles, then you'll be able to thrive. So
Wow. Thank you. Thank you for that thoughtful answer. It is your candor is very it's refreshing and it's needed. And I'm so grateful for your contribution to this repository. I'm so grateful for your presence in the world. I honor you, my king. I pray that your epic dream really does come true. All of the dreams encapsulated, those spoken and unspoken. And I'm just really grateful that you are here today.
yes, likewise.
Thank you. Thank you. And stay right there because I want to thank the audience for joining us. I hope that you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. And if there's a positive and successful Black man in your life who you want to see highlighted in this forum, please click the link below or in my bio and fill out the nomination form and we'll take it from there. I always say, or mostly say, that success to me does not equal what they do for a living. As long as it's legal and not hurting anybody, I really don't care because, like Brother Kwame said, it's not about the physical resources, if you will, the financial resources that make someone successful, but how is the content of their character positively contributing to the world to their nuclear family first, and then spreading out writ large to the rest of the community. Those brothers are important, and we want them to be a part of this repository. And so please stay tuned next week for yet another amazing king. And please, in the meantime, remember to spread love and have a great day. Thanks so much, and Kwame, thank you so much. That was really wonderful. Thank you.